Hey everybody, welcome on our channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got neglected and builds the new empire? Part 1. Huge shout out to LINKKEYBLADEMASTER30 for this story. If you are new on the channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel and like the video too. So without wasting any more time, let's start the story. In a galaxy far away there was one man that had power, but not just any power, it was unlimited ultimate power for that he holds. He had complete power of the entire galaxy. This man's name is Lord Sidious, that knows the ways of the dark side of the force. He was also the emperor who had an army of clones who obeyed his every command. The emperor's throne room. The emperor was thinking while looking into the outer space. What shall I do? The emperor thought in his mind. I have grown old and I know that I am not going to live forever. I must find someone and to take my place as the new ruler of the empire. Flashback. Ever since Darth Vader betrayed me by throwing me down a pit to my death, I managed to survive by calling one of troops with the force to get a ship coming to his aid. As I escaped I watched my second Death Star destroyed with my own eyes. Some of my clone has survived, but I have less of an army. I commanded my stormtrooper to take me to the watery world of Kamino, where they have cloned my army. I have arrived to ask the leader of the facility to create a new army for me. He told me I was too old to run the clone army and said that I must find a new emperor to take control of the army. He was a fool thinking that I am too old to run my empire, but I was wrong. I stared to grow pain in my body and I knew that he was right. I must find someone to take my place. End of flashback. How in the galaxy am I going to find someone to take my place? I can't convene any GD to join the dark side since I command my army to kill all of the GD and now I'm running out of time. Just then 3 pillars of bright light shined near Sidious' throne. Lord Sidious covered his eyes with his arms trying not to see the bright light to make him go blind. When the 3 lights died down he saw 3 ladies that looked like goddess with equally enchanting beauty. The one in the middle has golden blonde hair with shining blue eyes. She has a perfect hergless figure with D-cup breast. Her outfit consists of a shoulderless white dress with long sleeves, a long skirt and white ninja sandals. She is Kami, goddess of light and order. The one to her right has jet pitch black hair with red eyes. She also has a perfect hergless figure with cup breast. Her outfit consists of a black tank top with black pants and black ninja sandals. She is Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos. The final one has silvery white hair and green eyes. Like the other 2, she has a perfect hergless and E-cup breast. Her outfit consists of an upper kimono with a light gray hakama and black ninja sandals. She is Shinigami, goddess of life and death. Who are you 3 and why have you come here? Asked the emperor, who was confused why 3 goddesses were in his throne room. I am Kami, goddess of light and order. The golden blonde female said, making the emperor's eyes widen, and these are my sisters, Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos, and Shinigami, goddess of life and death. I ask again why you are here? Asked Lord Sidious. We have come to tell you that you need a new apprentice to take your place, said Shinigami, because we have foretold a prophecy that a boy will keep the galaxy in balance, bringing peace and harmony. I see, said Sidious, but tell me who this child you speak of is. Scene change. Dusan. Kasan. I did it. Did you see that? Cheered an 8-year-old girl with bright long red hair with yellow ribbons around the end of her hair, bright neon violet eyes, and a round face. She wore a red t-shirt, combat pants, and blue ninja sandals. She looked an exact copy of her mother, with the exception of the yellow strands that outlined her hair and the fact that she is younger. That's great, Narumi-chan. Applauded a handsome man with spiky blonde hair with 2 long bangs down the side of his face. He had ocean blue eyes and an angular face. He wore a dark blue, long-sleeved shirt, black sweatpants, and stood about a height of 5'8". This girl, now known as Narumi, is the daughter of both Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina. She looked like an exact copy of her mother, with the exception of her blue eyes and the yellow strands that outline her hair and the fact that Narumi smiled and continued her training on sensing her chakra and calling it out. She just started training with chakra and her dad was teaching her how to control it. Great job, Narumi-chan. You will be great Kunoichi in no time. Said Aridid, who just came in when she saw her daughter call out her chakra. She stood at a height of 5'4", had bright red hair and a heart-shaped angelic face. She wore a hair clip on her hair, wore a red t-shirt and sweatpants. She had a body of a goddess that would make any male or female die of a nosebleed. With long slender arms and legs and an impressive bust ranging from C-cups to D-cups, this woman is Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina, the red hot-blooded habanero and Konoha's Red Death. Thanks, Kasan. I can't wait until me and Tsubaki become great Kunoichi like you. Narumi replied with a cheesy grin, making both Minato and Kushina smile at their child's energy and attitude. While the family continued being a happy family, they didn't know the pair of eyes looking at them. In the distance stood a boy who was the same age as Narumi. He had wild spiky blonde hair that went everywhere, electric blue eyes, and a round face. He stood about the height of 3'5" and at the moment was wearing a grey t-shirt and sweatpants. He looked like any normal healthy kid, but one thing different about him was the 3 whisker marks on each side of his face. His name is Naruto Namikaze, son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, an older twin brother of Narumi Namikaze. At the moment Naruto was glaring at the nice family scene, the same eyes on Levi from Attack on Titan, that was happening at the family private training area. Naruto just sighed and walked away, into his room where he did training of his own. When Naruto got into his room he laid down on his bed and remembered what happened a long time ago that made him to be what he is now. Flashback. "Hey Two-san, can you teach me how to do some cool ninja stuff?" asked a young blonde Naruto who was hoping his dad would say yes. "Sorry Naruto, I can't. I have to teach Narumi," replied Minato. Naruto frowned. "Why can't you teach both of us at the same time?" argued Naruto, ignoring the smug look his sister was giving him. "Sorry Naruto, I don't have time to do that." Naruto was going to respond with his father until his mother came in. "Naruto, go to your room and don't bother your father. He will teach you when he feels that you are ready," said Kushina in a demanding voice. Naruto, not wanting to argue with his mother, looked at the ground and walked to his room. "Why can't I learn how to be a shinobi, but Narumi can? How come she gets everything?" said Naruto out loud to himself when he reached his room and closed the door so no one could enter or hear him. Naruto was considered a genius or prodigy, he was smart beyond measure and had skills to learn anything really fast, so it didn't take him long enough to figure out that his family favored his sister more than him, seeing as she got mostly everything she wanted. He also noticed the villagers treating her like a hero. Naruto knew that his sisters had the QB's power in them and that they were seen as heroines, but he didn't understand why he was so hated by the villagers while Narumi was mostly ignored. He laid on his bed and closes his eyes so that he could some rest. You all might be wondering why this had led him to a cold and focused child. Naruto woke up in the middle of the night, thirsty, and left his room. On his way back, he stopped by his parents' room hearing them talking. "Are sure Minato? It's usually given to the firstborn male." His mother's voice was shaky and sounding uncertain, making him wonder what they were talking about. "Of course," he heard his father say with certainty. "You've seen her. At this age already this strong and not even in the academy yet. With her friends, she's already shown she can lead. She would make a better clan heir than Naruto." Naruto's eyes were shaking in fear, thinking this has to be a nightmare and that it has to be a mistake. "They can't be serious." "Well, Minato, if you say so." His pupils dilated. "Yeah, her birthday is coming up, I'll do all the papers and tell her then as a present." Naruto had heard everything they were saying, he backed away slowly from their door and ran back to his room, leaving tears at their doorstep. When he was inside his room, a lot of tears dropped down from his eyes as he fell down on both of his knees and clutching on his fists, making him bleed. "They plan on leaving me, they don't care either I live or die, they always take everything from me, even my own sister, my birthdays, my childhood, and now my birthrights. No one loves me, nobody cares about me." The fading dark aura was surrounding Naruto as he was being consumed by dark power. He closed his eyes shut, he didn't notice that the objects in his room started to slightly move. "I hate them," he said in his mind in anger, his aura started to grow darker. "I hate them," he said it once more as the objects started to flying around him. Then he finally snapped, "I hate them all," he roared in his mind, then all of Naruto items were spinning around him faster and faster. Now his entire body was covered in dark hatred which he kept holding back, then something in his mind calmed him down as he was remembering all the people that you care about. Naruto's stuff immediately stopped, then returned to their right places. The dark aura that Naruto had angered died down and showed a bright white light was all over him. "That's right, Naruto thought there were some that really cared about me and loved me," he now remembers their names. Yuhi Kurenai and Mitarashi Anko, Kato Shizune, Inyazuka Hana, Yuzuki Yugao, Itachi Uchiha, Uchiha Mikoto, Morino Ibiki, and the Ichiraku family from the ramen stand. When Naruto was either in danger with the villagers Yuhi Kurenai and Mitarashi Anko, Kato Shizune, Inyazuka Hana, Morino Ibiki, Gemna, and Hayate helped Naruto one time when the villagers beat him, while Ibiki went on to teach those villagers a lesson during a torture session. After that they became friends, but at times he would stay a safe distance away from them so that the villagers wouldn't try to target them, too. But the others would have none of it and proceeded to hang around Naruto whenever possible. Flashback. Present time. Throughout the years Naruto has been training very hard. Every day, he would train himself until he was exhausted and couldn't move. He would usually train in his room or in a secret training area where his so-called parents wouldn't catch him. His routine every day would be 100 push-ups followed by 100 crunches. This would usually take about an hour or so, then he would usually take short break and to 100 pull-ups and sit-ups, this took about another hour. After he would run around the village 3 times, which took about 2 hours, and spend 3 hours doing chakra control. He would do this every day and wouldn't cheat or take any shortcuts, meaning that he wanted to accomplish things that were challenging. With many good things there are also bad things. As time passed by, the villagers at first started with cold glares, then changed into beating here and there. Once every 2 weeks or so there would be a crowd that would corner Naruto and beat him senseless. They didn't do anything crazy since he was the son of their beloved Yondaime, but they would show him his place. Naruto at first would fight back, but he realized that would have made it worse, so now he just lets them beat them, though it didn't really hurt since he was strong and could take weak civilians' punches. The children around Naruto's ego wouldn't hang out or talk to him, instead they would full flaunt over Narumi or give him cold glares. Some of the people who tried to be his friend only did it so that they could get clothes of Narumi. During the academy he would be ignored, but Naruto didn't really mind since he was pretty much alone from the start. Though there were very people that befriended him. Them being Kurenai Yuhi, Anko Mitarashi, Yugao Yuzuki, Uchiha Itachi, and finally Uchiha Mikoto. Kurenai, Anko, and Yugao helped Naruto one time when the villagers beat him, after that they became friends, but at time he would stay a safe distance away from them so that the villagers wouldn't hurt them too. Itachi found him during one of his training routine and watched in silence. He was impressed by Naruto's determination and hard work and eventually talked to Naruto. He asked why Naruto was training by himself and where his family was. Naruto's answer was, "I am nothing to them, only extra baggage." Itachi was shocked but understood what he meant. He often seen Naruto walking behind his parents with an expressionless face. After that Itachi often visited Naruto as much as he could and helped Naruto with his training, seeing as Naruto was considered a prodigy like himself. Uchiha Mikoto found Naruto walking alone around Konoha one day. She asked why he wasn't with his parents, where he gave them the same answer as Itachi. Mikoto was furious and was about to march over to the Namikaze estate and give them a piece of her mind. Naruto tried to stop her saying it wouldn't matter, but she didn't listen to him. Instead she dragged him with her to the Namikaze estate. He still remembered what happened. Flashback 1 year ago. Uchiha Mikoto barged into the Namikaze estate, dragging a blonde-hair boy with her. "Kushina Namikaze. Come here now," yelled an enraged Mikoto. Moments later Kushina and Minato came into the front of the door to find Mikoto holding their son. "Mikoto, why are you here and why is my son with you?" asked a confused Kushina. She thought that Naruto was in his room. "I'm here because I found your son walking around Konoha alone," replied Mikoto loudly. "Really? Oh. Thanks Mikoto-chan for finding my son, we will take it from here," said Minato, telling Naruto to go to his room, which he did. Though stayed back so he can hear the rest of the conversation since he noticed that Mikoto haven't went home yet. "Did you even know that your son was outside?" asked Mikoto, still mad. "No, but I thank you again for finding him," replied Kushina. Mikoto narrowed her eyes and in the corner of her eyes, she noticed a redhead that was training in the family training ground. This got a question that she wanted to ask them. Why is Narumi training to be a ninja early while Naruto is sent to his room? We decided to train Narumi early. And why not Naruto? Mikoto's tone getting colder and colder by the second, which was starting to scare Kushina and Minato. That's because Narumi has the QB's power sealed into her and has to know how to control it. We will start teaching Naruto when he get into the academy. Mikoto stood there with glaring eyes at the two. I understand, sorry for asking a stupid question, Namikaze-san. Minato and Kushina flinch at the sudden change in their friend but just toss it aside, thinking that it wasn't anything serious. Mikoto turned around and walked away, too mad to say goodbye. Flashback end. Present time. After that Mikoto would help him as best as she could. Sometimes cooking him lunch to giving him advice on his training since she herself was a jonin before she retired when she got married and had 2 kids. She tried befriending him with her youngest son Sasuke, but to her disappointment he adopted his father personality at a very early age, which was being arrogant to the max. Sasuke would say things like Naruto wasn't worth his time or that the Uchiha are the best to Naruto's annoyance. But at least Itachi befriended him, which made Mikoto happy, though she wished he had a friend his age, which Naruto didn't mind. His relation with his family became worse. As his parents train his sister Narumi in the family styles and jutsu, Naruto watch in the background, always hoping for attention. He would suggest the family go the movie, while his sister would suggest they go and eat ramen, and to Naruto's disappointment, they always chose whatever Narumi would suggest. After a while of watching and hoping, he gave up and trained even harder to show them that he didn't need them. He stayed in his room, not bothered to go out and talk with his family. Only time he saw them during the day would be dinner, but even then he would stay silent. He would just finish his food as fast as he could, wash his own dishes and go back to his room and train. When the family went on walks around the village, he would stay a few feet back from the rest of the family, while Narumi would usually lead. He avoids attention as much as possible, being quiet or staying in corners where no one would see him. During parties he would only be there for an hour or so until he got tired and left. Sometimes Narumi would ask him to play with her, but Naruto would turn her down and said that he was busy. On his free time, Naruto would usually read books about stories, jutsu, seals, or anything ninja related. He also painted and drew on his free time. When his parents weren't around, he would work on improving his funijutsu, hoping that he would surpass his parents since they were seal master. Sometimes in Naruto's days he would go to the Hokage monument and stared at the sunset behind the village gates and walls. "Someday I am going to leave this stupid village," said Naruto as he watched the sun go down. He stood up and stated to walk back home. Scene change. The Emperor's throne room. Back in the Emperor's Death Star, the three goddesses were explaining about Naruto being the child of the prophecy. They even showed him Naruto's life from the beginning until. "The boy is quite interesting to me, and you were right about him. He does have the power of the dark and light side to the force," he said to them. "We expect to see him soon," said Kami. "So where shall I meet my new apprentice?" Lord Sidia said. Yami handed him the location of Naruto's whereabouts on the Emperor's communicator. "We will also give our power to him once you bring him here," spoke Shinigami. "Me and my sisters will wait at the entrance when you return with him," said Kami. Sidious lifted himself up from his throne and started walking towards the elevator. "I will bring back the boy and tell him the news, and I think he will accept it," he said as the door closed. "When he brings him back, we will enter in Naruto's Mindscape and tell him everything. He must also kill the Dark Lord, Lord Sidious, and bring peace to the galaxy. The old man can't be trusted." "Well, I just can't wait to see Naruto, he's just so cute and attractive," said Yami while blushing. "Hey, no fair, I want to be the one to have him all to myself," Shinigami said while pouting. Both of them stared at each other as little bits of lightning came out of their eyes. The same thing when Naruto and Sasuke were eating in their first C-rank mission. Kami grew a tick mark and decided to spec up. "Sisters, enough," Kami shouted out. "We all know that we are going to share him," she told them. Shinigami and Yami blushed with embarrassment while looking down at the ground. "Besides," Kami continued, "since I am the oldest, I will be the first one to kiss him." "Hey," the two sisters shouted. Namikaze Minato was doing paperwork, something he hated to do as Hokage. He was currently looking at a petition to release the civilians that were in jail for hurting his son Naruto. He sighed, remembering the time after the QB's attack and when he announced that Narumi had the QB's power and Naruto had the soul. Some of the villagers asked that Naruto be watched, hurt, or even killed before the QB could control Naruto. As a father, he knew that he shouldn't let them go, but he was the Hokage first. He was not just any Hokage, but the best Hokage ever to lead Konoha so far. As Hokage, he knew that the village came first and family came much, much later. He knew the pain of the village after the QB attack, and with Naruto having the soul of the QB, he knew that the village would target him. He knew it was bad, but the village needed a scapegoat, and despite how young Naruto was, he was the only person to fit the bill. The best he felt that he could do was to reduce what they did to him. He signed the paper that released the villagers from their prison. He just hoped that Naruto would forgive him and that his wife and daughters wouldn't ever find out about what he allowed the village to do to Naruto. He was about to go through more paperwork until he felt a presence behind him. "Jiraiya-sensei, what are you doing here?" Minato asked while he quickly approved the request to release the prisoners. "It seems like I could never hide from you, my former student," Jiraiya said as he jumped through the window. "I ask you again, why are you here? I assumed you were peeping on women like you always do." "Actually, the toad summoned me and told me about a prophecy." "Prophecy from the toads?" Minato asked, shocked. Jiraiya nodded in confirmation. "What was it about?" "It said that the chosen one is the child born from two great shinobi and holds light and dark power and has light blue shining eyes that they have been gifted from Kami, Yami, and Shinigami, and that will bring peace to the whole world. I expect that the chosen one would be Narumi since she is your and Kushina's child and has the power of the QB within herself." "So my daughter is the chosen one?" a hopeful Minato asked. "I think so, since she seems to fit all the requirements," Jiraiya replied, seeing how happy his student is. "Since it's Narumi's birthday tomorrow, I was wondering if you would let me let her sign the toad contract," he asked Minato, his smile growing wider as Minato nodded. "Since that's done, I guess I'll continue my research. See you later, Minato," Jiraiya exclaimed before disappearing using Shunshin. Minato sighed and looked at his loads of paperwork with a frown. He still couldn't figure out a way to beat every Kage's enemy. After working for a while, Minato stopped and started to think about his family. How far they have grown as a family. How happy they were, he, Kushina, Narumi, and Naruto. He frowned when he thought about Naruto. After refusing to teach Naruto, he pretty much excluded himself from the family. Minato still remember Naruto asking to go somewhere as in family, but he refused Naruto's idea for Narumi, picking wherever she wanted to go. As time went by, Naruto's request became less frequent until eventually he stopped asking for anything. He even showed his face less around the house. Minato regretted what he did to Naruto and was going to make it up to him. Starting tomorrow after Naruto's and Narumi's birthday, he was going to start Naruto's training. He was going to bring Naruto back into the family no matter what. Namikaze Estate. Kushina Namikaze at the moment was making dinner for the family. She too felt that Naruto wasn't part of the family. Every time he and Narumi would come home, he goes into his room and stays there until dinner. At dinner he would be silent and not even give time a glance. When they walked around Konoha, he would stay a few feet back and would remain quiet. She noticed Naruto always reading books, which was good, but he read too much and wouldn't go out and play with the children his age. She started to wonder if Naruto had any friends at all. She regretted not training Naruto at the same time as Narumi, but believed that Narumi needed extra attention due to her having the Kyuubi's power. She, being a former Jinchuriki, knows how hard it is to control the Kyuubi's power. Kushina was worried. She didn't want Naruto to isolate himself from the family. She knew that something had to be done, and the moment Naruto walked through that door, she was going to make it up to him. She was going to make the family whole again no matter what it took. She then continues to cook dinner lunch for the family and especially for Naruto to enjoy. In Konoha. "Naruto Oni-chan, where are you?" shouted Narumi. Narumi ran around Konoha trying to look for her Oni-chan. After class finished, Narumi wanted to walk home with Naruto. To her disappointment, she disappeared when she tried to look for him. "Naruto Oni-chan." She shouted once more, hoping Naruto would come this time. When she got nothing in return, she frowned and started to walk home. Narumi loved Naruto a lot, not as a brother but something more. She would always try to play with him, but Naruto would always stare at her with his lifeless eyes telling her to leave him alone. Narumi started to remember the past and felt sick at herself. She remembered when she little after her dad told Naruto that he had to train her first. She started to tease Naruto about it. She would say things like the family loved her more or how show Naruto what she learned to make fun of him. When Naruto would suggest they go somewhere, she would suggest they go another place, and every time they would choose her suggestion over his. Remembering these things made her just wanted to go back in time and slap her younger self. Narumi walked home alone, another day without Naruto. While she walked home, she remembered that tomorrow was hers and Naruto's birthday. She smiled and thought of a plan to get her Oni-chan back. She finished her plan by the time she got home and was going to start it the moment she reached into the house. Next morning. The day Naruto and Narumi's birthday. It may be his birthday, but that doesn't mean he get a free day and relax from training. He left his home to go to his training ground. After an hour when Naruto left, Narumi woke up really happy since today was her and Naruto's birthday. She quickly got out of bed and ran to her parents' room. "Dusan. Kasan, wake up. It's mine's and Naruto's birthday," shouted Narumi, jumping on her parent bed, waking them up. Minato and Kushina groaned as they woke up. "Narumi, calm down. Why don't you wake Naruto up and we can walk around the village and see the festival preparation and we will visit the clan heads and your friends," replied Minato. Narumi nodded and ran to Naruto's room. While Minato and Kushina got up, smiled at their daughter antics. They both went to go the usual morning routine of brushing their teeth. After that they changed while Kushina went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast for the family and Minato reviewed what he was going to teach Naruto. Narumi ran through the halls and appeared in front of Naruto's room. She was scared to open it. She never has been inside Naruto's room before, so she didn't know what was in there. Too scared to go inside, she decided to knock instead, hoping Naruto would answer. "Aniki," said Narumi while knocking on her brother's door. She got no answer and knocked once again only to have no answer once again. She put her head against the walls to hear any noise but heard nothing. Assuming that he wasn't there and still scared to go into his room, Narumi went to tell her parents. Narumi quickly went to the kitchen where both Minato and Kushina are. Kushina, seeing the sad look on Narumi's face, asked, "What's wrong, Narumi?" Narumi looked at her and replied, "Naruto isn't in his room." Shocking both Minato and Kushina. "Did you check his room?" asked Minato. "Well, I knocked and got no reply. I am scared to go into his room," replied Narumi. "Why are you scared?" "That's because I've never been into his room before and I'm scared Aniki will be mad at me." Minato and Kushina were surprised. They too have never been into Naruto's room and wondered what would be in there. Naruto seemed to be in there all the time, so they assumed there was something in there for him to do, but doesn't remember getting him anything that will allow him to stay in his room all day. "How about we all go to Naruto's room then? Would you like that, Narumi?" said Kushina, which Narumi nodded in reply. The three of them quickly went to Naruto's room and stopped when they are in front of Naruto's room. Slowly Minato opened the door to his room and when it opened all three of them were surprised. Naruto's room was what you would call plain, very plain. The walls were white, no dirty marks on it. While his bed was neatly done, showing that he was gone. His room was very clean, even cleaner than Minato and Kushina. There wasn't a single clothes lying around anywhere. His clothes were neatly folded and the dirty ones in a basket at the side of his room. Narumi, Minato, and Kushina frowned at how plain his room was. Not a single decoration on the walls. They looked around his room and noticed a bookcase. Filled with book, mostly advanced. Even Minato would have trouble reading some of the books on the shelves. The books were ranging from romance novels to history books. There were many kinds of different books. Naruto can read these books, said a surprised Minato. Kushina and Narumi remained silent, amazed how smart Naruto was until they were interrupted by a knock on the door. They turned around and were surprised to see Naruto standing at the door to his room. "Can I help you?" Naruto asked coolly. Kushina quickly snapped out of memory lane. Sorry Naruto. We wanted to tell you to come down and eat breakfast, but you were gone. So we came to your room to check up on you, and we saw that you weren't here. Also, we wanted to tell you to get ready to visit the clan heads." Naruto nodded. "Alright then, but if you don't mind, would you please leave so I can change?" The three namikazes quickly left his room and went to go and get ready. After they ate breakfast with their family, they left the house with them to walk around the village to see how the festival preparations were coming, and it seemed that they were almost done. They then went to the Hyuga's homes where they had been invited along with the rest of the clan heads and their families. At the Hyuga clan house, Hinata, Hanabi, and Ino were all talking with each other. Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Shino were hanging around each other. Well, to be more exact, Shikamaru was sleeping while Choji was eating chips, Kiba was playing with his puppy Akamaru, and Shino was silent, talking to bugs. There was a knock on the door, and Hyuga Hiashi, the Hyuga clan head, answered it to see Minato and Kushina with their children. They could tell that Narumi and Tsubaki couldn't wait to talk with their friends, and Naruto who, well, he had his nose in a book and was just talking with Naruhi, off behind the rest of the family. "Hello, Minato-san. Nice of you and your family to make it," Hiashi greeted, who is a good friend of Minato. "Yo Hiashi, how's it going?" Minato replied, looking around the house, and noticed a certain arrogant clan head missing. "Where's the idiot Fugaku?" Hiashi sighed. Fugaku said something about not having time for childish things like jitijithers. Minato laughed. "Dude's gotta stick up his ass, that's for sure." Hiashi chuckled at his friend's attitude. After a quick greeting from the rest of the family, Minato and Kushina went to all of their friends to catch up. Kushina glanced back at her children and hoped that they were at least starting to get along. Naruhi just sighed and went over to talk to Itachi, Naruto following close behind her. Narumi, however, stopped Naruto and looked at him with determination in her eyes. "Ani-chan, would you like to play with me and my friends?" Naruto looked at her like she was crazy and grumbled. Guess she had a memory recollection problem and forgot all about yesterday. He wanted to say no, but he saw Kushina looking at them, hoping that they might get along. "Sure, why not?" Naruto said and shrugged at the same time. Narumi cheered at that and quickly dragged Naruto over to Hinata, Hanabi, and Ino, as they were the only girls there because it was a clan head family get-together. After 2 to 3 hours, it was noon, and time for the Namikaze family to leave, so that they could prepare for the party and see the festival preparations. The Namikaze siblings finished talking with their friends and gathered by their parents. Time skipped 2 more hours. It was time for the party to begin. The Namikaze house was filled with family and friends. Both children and adults. The clan heads and their families were all there, as was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, and his family, and the Namikaze children's godparents, Jiraiya and Tsunade. Itachi, Kurenai, Anko, Yugao, Hana, and Shizune came by as well, but just for Naruto. Naruto was standing in the corner away from the crowd where no one could see him. Meanwhile, the party was still in full force and doesn't seem to be getting smaller or tiring down. If anything, it seems to be getting wilder. There was karaoke coming from the living room, with many more drunken adults singing, and the children were running all over the house. Minato, who was slightly drunk since he didn't drink much, managed to quiet everyone down for one of the usual main events for Narumi's birthday party. "Now then, it is time for Narumi to open her presents," Minato announced, getting everyone to quiet down. "Minato, my love, what you're planning, I hope it brings fixes whatever happened to our son," Kushina thought sadly. Narumi was happy, yet not completely. All of her friends and their parents were here, but her brother was still missing, and what seemed worse is that no one seemed to notice. It got worse as they cut the cake without him and even started presents without him, even though it seemed no one brought any for him. "Here, kid, it's a summoning contract for the toads, I have a feeling it will be put into good use with you," her uncle Jiraiya said, giving the large scroll to her, using a smile he uses when he's hiding something. "Yes. This is a chance to remind everyone that I'm not the only Uzumaki child," Narumi thought before looking up to Jiraiya. "And I sign it too." Well, an innocent question, it reminded everyone that more than one child had a birthday today. Jiraiya mentally cursed, this was the one question he hoped she wouldn't ask. Well, Narumi-chan, as much as I would love to let Naruto sign it, the toads don't like to have many summoners. So 3 would probably be the limit, and anyways Naruto wouldn't have the talent for it. Narumi was listening sadly until she heard the last part. What do you mean wouldn't have the talent? Jiraiya paused. Maybe that came out wrong. What I meant was he's not as talented as you. What do you mean not as talented? Jiraiya. What I mean Narumi-chan is that you're better than him. Jiraiya smiled thinking this explained everything, but was not expecting get punched by a 10-year-old. It didn't hurt but was surprising. Don't you ever say that about Nai-san. Okay, Minato said, bringing everyone's attention to him and making Naruto forget what Jiraiya said. It's time for my present. Minato looked at Narumi before speaking up, letting everyone hear him. Everyone, I hereby denounce Naruto Uzumaki as clan heir and give the position to Narumi Uzumaki. If Naruto disagrees with this order, I will excommunicate him from the clan. Minato smiled thinking he was going to get applause or agreement, but he got silence and Kushina pulling him aside. You didn't say anything about potential excommunication. What are you thinking? She said in a whispered voice. He was going to answer, but was distracted when they heard the front door shut loudly. Kushina ran past the party guests to look out the front window. She saw Naruto walking to the gate where the party guests were coming in. Narumi ran past her mother to catch up to her brother. When she got close to him she grabbed his arm with her hands. Nai-san, please stop, where are you going? Said a worried Narumi. I going for a walk, Naruto said without looking her. Naruto, stop, I never wanted this, she tried to convince him. Naruto had enough of this, he removed his arm from Narumi's grip, then pushed her to the ground. Shut up, Naruto said loudly, I was never a family to you or your parents, I heard everything they said that night. Minato and Kushina were shocked that he knew. This is your chance to be a perfect family, then so be it, just leave me alone, Naruto said to her as he is walking away. Minato walked up to Narumi that was going to help her up, but the moment he touched her shoulder she got up quickly and punched him in the gut. It didn't hurt but was surprising. This is all your fault, she shouted at him, then ran back to the house, running to her room with tears in her eyes. Minato turned around and saw the pissed off Kushina and knew that this was going to be bad as he walked back into the house. The party quests didn't want to get involved with their argument, so they decided to leave. As they all left, the 2 chunins that were guarding the gate ran off to find the demon that harmed the next heir of the Uzumaki clan. Hokage monument. It's always about her, she gets everything while squat, Naruto said with anger as he kicked a rock off the cliff. He breathed slowly trying to calm down. It doesn't matter, he continued, I'm no longer a part of their family anymore. As he was about to get down. Well, if it isn't the demon child, a male voice said as Naruto turned around and saw a chunin a few feet away from him. Demon child, what are you talking about? Naruto asked with confusion because he didn't know about having the QB soul from his past life. You don't know? Oh well, it doesn't matter anymore, seeing as this is the day you die. When he finished talking to him, the chunin walked towards him slowly with 2 kunai knife in his hands. Naruto go into his battle stance and backed away slowly, but didn't notice that there was someone behind him. The second chunin got Naruto into a stranglehold. Naruto tried to break free, but he didn't have the strength to do it. I think you would look better without those eyes of yours, the first chunin said evilly as he pierced the kunais through his eyes. Naruto's screams echoed all over the Leaf Village in pain, fell on the floor covering his eye sockets with his hands, but that didn't help because the 2 chunin were rapidly beating him up. Meanwhile in the galaxy. The Emperor was in his ship, the Imperial Shuttle, looking for his apprentice with the coordinates Yami gave him to help find his student when he sensed something in the force that is not right. Stormtrooper, we must hurry, he commanded his soldier. Yes my lord, as the stormtrooper prepared for hyper jump to light speed. I sense my new apprentice is in danger, he said to his soldiers. The ship speed off so fast it only took them minutes to reach their destination. Hokage monument. Naruto was down on the ground unconscious, bruised, cuts all over his body and covered in blood. Come on, let's get out of here, Chunin 1 said to his partner. Hold on, I got to make sure that the demon dead. The second Chunin spoke as he started to perform hand signs. Fire style. Fire release stream, the second Chunin called out as he spread fire all over Naruto's body, thus setting him on fire, but Naruto didn't feel the cause, he was unconscious. There, now let's get out, or quick. They were about to leave when a strange sound like steam was coming from behind. They turned around to see a weird aircraft landing on the ground. The door on the ship started to open, and what the Chunin saw coming out of the ship was to appear to look like a weak old man wearing black robes, with his hood covering his face. Behind him were 2 men wearing strange armor. Hey, who are you and what do you want? Chunin 1 said to the intruders. The Emperor turned his head at his men. Kill them, he told his soldiers. The 2 stormtroopers pointed their blasters at the 2 Chunin, then shot them down. Your Majesty, there he is, Stormtrooper 1 told his lord, pointing at Naruto's. He's still alive, quickly get a medical capsule immediately, he commanded his soldiers. Yes sir, right away. The two stormtroopers went back into the ship to get the medical capsule. The Emperor walked towards Naruto, he bent his knees down to the ground and placed his hand on his head. Fear not, my apprentice, for Kami has given you a great opportunity for you. Lord Sidious spoke to Naruto as the stormtrooper came back with a medical capsule. The stormtroopers lifted Naruto to the capsule and placed a breathing mask on him to keep him alive. As they were about to leave, Minato and Kushina came. How did they came, you ask, as they were arguing back at the house when they heard Naruto's cries of pain as they left quickly to find him. Get the boy into my ship quickly, I shall deal with this to myself, the Emperor shouted at his men as they carried Naruto to the ship. Give us back our son, Minato commanded at the stanger as Kushina and Minato charged at him. As they were get close to him, the Sith Lord raised both his arm, then he shot force lighting at them, both of them, which they didn't expected, as both of them were being electrocuted. The Emperor noticed light a glow on the back of Kushina's neck, his lighting turned from blue to purple, causing more pain for both of the parents. The light on Kushina's neck died down. Lord Sidious decided they had enough, he stopped and went back to the ship. The stormtroopers got the ship prepared. Kushina got back up, rubbing the back of the neck. When she saw her hand, she had ink all over it, thinking someone put a seal on her, realizing that her so-called husband must have something to do with it, but now was not the time to think. She saw the ship about to take off with her son. "No, stop," she cried out as she catches up to them, but it was too late, the ship had taken off to the skies. Kushina fell down on her knees crying that she failed as a mother, she should have better mother to Naruto, she can only hope that he would come back safely, right now has to find out about why the seal that was on the back of neck. She picked up Minato, walked back home, all she can do was to find out what was Minato planning. Please be safe Naruto, she said to herself looking at the sky. The Emperor had returned back to his Death Star with his new apprentice, who is still recovering from the damage, those people that caused him so much pain and agony. As the Imperial ship was close to its destination, Lord Sidious is checking how his student is doing. Naruto's condition was in bad shape, his entire body is badly burnt that he is unable to move himself. His eyes were gone as they looked like someone ripped them off. The stormtroopers used medical bandages, keeping his eyes from being infected. The Imperial shuttle was near the Death Star. The ship slowly entered the entrance of the Death Star's landing platform, where the three goddesses were waiting for their new emperor to come back safely. The Emperor and his clones came out from the ship. The three goddesses approached but were worried when they saw the hovering medical capsule. They quickly approached it to see what happened. When they got close to it, the sisters were horrified and shocked for what they got them furious seeing Naruto's damaged body. What happened to him? Kami asked with anger in her voice. Yami and Shinigami glared at him, which they also want to know what happened to the boy. He was attacked by those disgusting people you call konoha, but was only attacked by their guards called Chunin, the Emperor said to them. But now is not the time to talk about that, we have to get him to the medical room, now my droids will fix him up. In the recovering room. The droids were currently curing Naruto's condition. There were cuts, burnt up all over his body, and making sure that his empty eyes don't get infected or rot from the inside. While the droids were fixing Naruto's injury, the three goddesses and the Emperor were currently observing the process of Naruto's healing, while thinking of ways on how they will make him start his training. But they were cut off from their thoughts when the medical room door slid open, and what came out of the door was a hovering three-armed droid coming through the door, confronting the goddesses and the Emperor, who were waiting for the results. I forgot what it looked like. It kind of looked more like 4 arms instead of 3 from the third movie when Padme is giving birth. Medically, the child is suffering from the damages within his body. For some we cannot explain, we are losing him, the hovering medical droid explained to them. Lord Sidious looked at Naruto's current state. He spoke to the goddesses while still looking at Naruto. He is dying, the Emperor said. We don't know why, but there is something you must also know. Within the boy's body, there seems to be some sort of strong power source that is keeping him alive. It is also regenerating his cuts and burns. When we were about to heal him, the medical droid said to them. The Emperor was curious on what was this power source that the droid spoke of that Naruto contained, and what might it hold. QB, Kami said quietly to herself. Who is this QB you speak of? Sidious asked her. QB is one of the 9-tailed beasts, centuries of being sought after as a tool for war and regarded as a monster that people think of her. However, I didn't know she had feelings for the blonde. Wait a minute, this QB is a female? The Emperor asked with confusion. Of course, after all, me and my sisters are the ones that brought them to Earth so that they might interact with humans, but Yoko, she's special, not only the most powerful tailed beasts, but also the only non-violent one of them all. Kami explained all the details about the QB to Lord Sidious, who nodded, understanding why the people fear Naruto, because they have him as a bloodthirsty monster. There is also another problem of the matter. We don't have any replacements for his eyes, and I don't think this QB you spoke of can regenerate new ones, the droid explained to them. What do we do? Sidious asked in question. Everyone was now thinking what to do until Shinigami had an idea, then whispered her sisters, telling them what they must do. Talking in secret, they nodded, then grabbed each other's arms. "What are you doing?" the emperor asked, but the tree goddesses ignored him and continued to proceed their plan. In the center of the goddesses formed two small blue flaming spheres floating in the center of them. Sidious covered his eyes, because even though they are small, they also bring a bright light to them. Sidious shielded his from the light, and when it died down, he opened his eyes and seized the still flaming orbs floating in the center. And landed in Kami's hands as she walked to the hovering droid, giving them to him. "Give these to Naruto. Not only will they give back his eyesight, but me and my sister's power will become his," Kami said. The droid slowly took the new replacement eyes from Kami's and said, "These are exactly the size we are looking, but are this safe for him?" The droid asked her politely. "Yes, once your followers put this on him it will do the rest," she replied. "The eyes that Naruto will have are wars from Darksiders, the first one. In the meantime he will take up the name Darth." Revan Sidious interrupted. "You droids get rid of those burnt up rags that are on him and replace them with this," as Sidious showed a robe-like combat outfit that has a red leather fur on the right side shoulder, a dark blue hooded cloak with a black combat pants. With brown boots. "I'm planning on making him look like this when he is older." Art Assassins X Star Wars Concept 212,761,670. "While your droids clean him up we will enter his mind to see if he is willing to accept our offer of being our avatar." Yami spoke. Sidious nodded and let them do their business. The three sisters vanished and entered into Naruto's mind. The emperor waited patiently as his medical droids got to work on replacing Naruto's old cloths with the new that Sidious gave him. Unknown location. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself in an open field with one side of it having a cloudy blue sky and beautiful flowers, while the other side having a clear violet sky and grass. "Ugh, where am I?" "In the plane between dimensions," said a heavenly voice from behind Naruto. The blonde turned around behind to find three women with equally enchanting beauty. The one in the middle has golden blonde hair with shining blue eyes. She has a perfect hergless figure with D-cup breast. Her outfit consists of a shoulder-less white dress with long sleeves, a long skirt, and white ninja sandals. She is Kami, goddess of light and order. The one to her right has jet pitch black hair with red eyes. She also has a perfect hergless figure with cup breast. Her outfit consists of a black tank top with black pants and black ninja sandals. She is Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos. The final one has silvery white hair and green eyes. Like the other two, she has a perfect hergless and E-cup breast. Her outfit consists of an upper kimono with a light gray hakama and black ninja sandals. She is Shinigami, goddess of life and death. "Who are you three? How am I be able to see when does idiot Chunin cut out eyes, and how did I get here?" Naruto asked, while getting the feeling making these three mad at him would spell the end for him as the three ladies kneeled in front of him to get to his level. "I am Kami, goddess of light and order," the golden blonde female said, making Naruto's eyes widen. "The reason you can see because this is your mindscape, you can do anything in your mind, and these are my sisters, Yami, goddess of darkness and chaos, and Shinigami, goddess of life and death." "Hi." Yami greeted, flashing a dark smile at Naruto, making him shiver. "Nice to meet you," Shinigami said, ruffling Naruto's hair. Nice to meet you all too. It's an honor to meet three goddesses such as yourselves," Naruto said, bowing down on one knee while making Yami and Shinigami blush. "But I have to wonder why you all want to meet me of all people." "Because we have an offer for you, Naruto-kun, since you're the only soul who fits our requirements and hope you will accept our offer," Kami said, getting straight to business. But before that, Yami now smiled a mischievous smile. "There is someone we want you to meet," Shinigami said as a swirl of light and darkness encircled the three and they disappeared from the plane between dimensions. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in somewhat looked like to be sewer of some kind. Naruto was wandering around hoping to find an exit until he heard the sound of someone crying. He made his way towards the sound and came upon what appeared to be a very large gate. Near the bottom, just a few feet above the floor, was a piece of paper. On it was the kanji for seal. He carefully approached the large structure and slipped inside the cage, and when he got in, he spotted a woman who seemed to be the source of the sobbing. He made his way to her when all of a sudden he was tackled by the woman as she buried her face in his chest, screaming, "I'm sorry, please forgive me." Naruto was dumbstruck and asked what for. The woman looked up, revealing her face. She had a perfect heart-shaped face that had a slightly tan tone with 3 whisker marks on each cheek, just like the blonde, and her eye color was a light shade of pink. The whisker-marked female sobbed again and replied, "What for?" "It's because of me that you've been outcast. I'm sorry. I'm the QB no Kitsune, and you're my host." Needless to say, Naruto was shocked and said, "My birthday is on October 10th. You attacked Konoha on October 10th. Bijuas are too powerful for an ordinary human to kill. That's why my so-called father sealed you inside me." The QB nodded at the brief but accurate observation. But Naruto continued, "I don't think you attacked the village on purpose. There must be an explanation about that." I was being controlled by a masked man claiming to be Uchiha Madara, the founder of the Uchiha clan. Naruto nodded as he recalled hearing in passing about the man from Naruhi, making him frown. Wouldn't that make him more than 100 years old? Yes. Either it's because of the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan that he's immortal, or he's not Madara at all. Well, your mother is in labor, the man came and held you and your twin hostage. Your father saved you too, but managed to separate him from your mother and ripped me from her seal. He then used his blasted Sharingan to trap me in a game jutsu to control me. You properly hate me because I am the one that made you suffer, she told him sadly as she dropped on her knees crying again, expecting him to slap her or beat her up for causing him so much pain, she waiting for the pain, but instead felt a warm embrace. She opened her eyes to that Naruto hugging her. Look, I don't care what happened to the past, all I know is that you always healed me when I'm injured, when the mob beats me up, you always making sure that I'm safe to whatever I go, and more importantly, he got off of the QB and put both of his hands on her shoulder and looked at her with determination on his face, looking at her sad teary face, and said, you're always there with me. Never leaving my side when I was born. Now that I know cared so much for me, I can never hate because I think that I the QB waited for his answer, not knowing what he might said until his mouth opened and spoke. Because I think I love you, his eyes were shut, had a light blush across his cheeks which embarrassed him. Naruto opened his eyes slowly, only to see QB sadder as more tears fell down on her cheek. Naruto was about to ask what was wrong, that is when she spoke. Yoko, she said as she smiled at him. What? Naruto said with confusion. That's my name, Yoko, and yes Naruto, I love you too, she cried out and tackled the blonde to the wet ground and hugged him tightly while crying on his chest. Naruto didn't know what to do, but he just accepted as he hugged her back, trying to comfort her by rubbing the back of her hair, calming her down. 3 beams of light shot down from behind them and appeared was Kami, Shinigami, and Yami. A moment of silence later, Naruto spoke up, so what about this offer you mentioned? Oh, right. Kami turned to him, looking straight at the blonde Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto, as our child of prophecy, you are destined for great things here in this plane. Because of that you'll be able to bring peace not only to the world, but to the entire galaxy and other worlds as well. Due to your blood, you have a perfect soul with the right amount of light and darkness within it, Shinigami added. Also, you are the first person to ever have force abilities. What is the force? Naruto asked Kami. It's an energy field created by all living things. They say it binds us, it penetrates us, and binds the galaxy together. Kami explained, but you learn soon enough when you train with Lord Sidious. When you wake up, he will be the one teaching you the GD arts. But that said, will you become our avatar? Yami offered, you are the child of prophecy me and my sisters foretold after all. There's a catch there? Yes, there is. In order to accept the offer you must give up your blood of an Uzumaki Namikaze and must take on the blood named Darth. Revan, do you accept? Naruto was shocked. He was given an offer by the 3 most powerful goddesses to become their avatar, but in order to give up his family blood. He thought about it and realized his family does not want him and does want anything to do with him, and not only will he have the power to protect his precious people, but stick it to that self-righteous blonde prick of a father. The decision was pretty obvious at this point. I accept, he said, but on one condition. Name it. The goddesses, the vixen, and the dragon lady said at once. Naruto stood for a moment before bowing down on one knee, forming a fist and placing it on his right heart, and said, please don't leave my side. Kami, Yami, Shinigami, and Yoko all blinked before walking over to Naruto and pulled him into a hug. Of course not. We would never do that, Naruto-kun. Don't ever doubt us, Kami said, smiling. Naruto hugged back, thank you, Kami-chan, Yami-chan, Shiny-chan, Yoko-chan. The goddesses and Chakra Demon blushed at the new nicknames their soon-to-be avatar gave them as they broke apart. Then Darth. Revan, become our avatar. The 3 goddesses spoke in one voice. The area became flooded with power as the 3 goddesses poured part of their power into Naruto. Changes started to form on Naruto, his hair started to turn from a blonde to brown smooth, different hairstyle, the whiskers on his face faded away, and the last change was his eyes are now completely blue. As the ritual was finished, Naruto looked at himself at the watery floor and was surprised that he got a new look, but the one thing that surprised him the most is his eyes that looked weird. Whoa, what's going on with my eyes? Said to the goddesses. You have a Dijutsu named the Eyes of Legends, which is mix of Rinnegan and Mangekyou Sharingan, ability to have unlimited force. You have the power to control all elements including the sub-elements to its fullest potential. After all that talking, Yoko started to fade real slow and fell down on the ground. Naruto rushed to her and held her in his arms. Play Xian's theme from Kingdom Hearts 358 halves days. What's happening to you? Naruto said to her with a worried face. I'm going back to your sister. All this time I've been healing you is because I use my own power to do it and that my soul can't live without chakra, so I'm being sent back Narumi's mindscape. Besides, you'll be better off without me, Naruto, as she closed her eyes as sparkles came out of her body and start floating up. No, there has to be a way I won't lose you again. I know you'll still be with me, said with sadness as tears started forming from his eyes. Kami, Shinigami, and Yami were also crying that their avatar was losing her and won't see her for a long time. They want to help him, but it was against the rules to interfere with life. As the sad moment couldn't get any worse, Naruto's mindscape stared to light up from the floor to the roof. Naruto looked around and looked at himself. He also was fading as then stared to panic until he heard Yoko's voice and saw her legs were almost gone. It's too late, you're waking up, do me this favor, take good care of the goddesses for me, goodbye Naruto, I will see you again, I'm glad I got to meet you for the first time and that my heart will always belongs to you. As she said her last words, bright light surrounded her making Naruto cover his eyes. Yoko knew. Naruto screamed out to her trying to reach her, but nothing happened. End of song. Death Star Medical Room. Play Birth of the Twins, Padam Destiny. The droids have completed Naruto's recovery on his eyes and made sure the new set of eyes fit perfectly, and when it was finally done, they wrapped a black handband on his eyes to make so they can be fully healed. Sidious had another thing he had in mind that he wanted to add to Naruto's features. Sidious told the droids to give him metal-like fingers, the one Star Killer has from the Force Unleashed, but this time 5 fingers. The last thing he wanted to add was mask helmet that belonged to a gifted student of his. Not only was student strong, but also wise. He thought that since Naruto is going to be the ruler of the galaxy, he thinks of giving him something to make people fear him. He gave the Revan's mask to the droids, and they slowly lowered the mask onto him, attaching to his head, then backed away as they were done, which left the Emperor and Naruto alone waiting to wake up. Naruto is slowly breathing. That made the Emperor pull the lever that made the medical table slowly rise up until it stopped at a standing position. The 3 goddesses exited out of Naruto's mind and stood next to him to see how he was doing. They told Sidious how he accepted the deal and he nodded, then approached Naruto. Lord Revan said with a weak voice, can you hear me? Naruto turned his head at the source of the voice and said, are you the one called Lord Sidious? That Kami-chan, Shiny-chan, and Yami-chan said you are, he said to the voice of the mysterious person he is talking to. Yes, I am Lord Sidious, the one who will train you to use the Force, he responded. Thank you, and yes, I can hear. Naruto now had a new master that will teach him new thing, but now was not the time as he asked his master a question. Yoko-chan, Naruto said to him, is she still with me? Is she safe? Is she alright? Kami whispered to the Emperor's ear, which he responded to Naruto's question. It seems she was on the perch of death. She has gone back to Earth to return to your sister. It was the only way she can stay alive. I'm sorry. Naruto was at pause for a moment and started saying stuff on denial. No, there had to be another way. She was still alive in my mindscape, I felt it. Naruto said with anger as everything in the medical room started to rumble and shake. Even the droids were starting to break apart. Naruto easily torn apart his restraints that were keeping him on the table and walking slow, going straight. The 3 goddesses tried to hold him back by embracing him with a hug, but he was still walking slow because enough thou they were gods had their power, meaning he was strong as they are. Naruto stopped for a moment before he dropped down on his knees. He spread out his arms and extended his fingers as little bits of red lighting was appearing from his fingertips. Naruto screams out as all of his anger, causing so much damage to the medical room with his force lighting that looked like a bomb explode into the room. Naruto calmed himself. He heard his master again saying, rise Darth Revan and stand for are gifted to be my apprentice and will soon be the galaxy's new emperor. Naruto lowered his head down and placed his hand to his heart and said, what is thy bidding, by master? You will rest first, you will get your eyesight back later on, but when they return you shall begin. As he walked away from him, Naruto was dragged by the goddesses taking him to his new room before Kami decided to speak. Naruto. You'll see her soon, Naruto, remember her promise she said to you? Naruto replied, yes, I promise I'll take care of you 3 and thank you all of you, and I promise you this, I will become powerful to protect the ones I care and love. The goddesses smiled and blushed at him for what he said as they placed him on his king-sized bed and joined him by sleeping with him. Naruto knew that his new life was going to be challenging, but is willing to do any for Kami, Shinigami and Yami-chan, but most importantly he is doing this for Yoko-chan. Revan's years of training was a lot faster than unexpected from the help of the 3 goddesses and Lord Sidious, considering that all he ever does was studying and focusing on his training. He became a GD master in just 3 years. The other 3 years was practicing on his ninja skills, his ninjutsu, genjutsu and taijutsu, memorizing every last detail he learns from his gifted eyes. With his ringed metal fingers becoming problem on performing jutsus with both hands, but he figured ninjas can perform them with only one hand and has become really good at it in whenever he was in combat. His fighting style became dual-wielded lightsabers holding them in reverse, Force Unleashed 2, which he practiced with 2 red lightsabers. He also had gotten amazing gifts from the 3 goddesses, besides the eyes which was Kami's idea. Her other sisters handed him 2 lightsabers, each had an engraved hilt. Yami's gift to Revan, the first lightsaber, was a white color that is surrounded with little bits of lightning, making it look like it was unstable, but still easy to work with. It symbolizes a deity who are very calm and focused on the living force. Shinigami gift was the same gift as Yami's, except its color was black as midnight with a menacing. It seemed to scream danger to anyone who saw it with pure darkness, who is devoted to oneself, rather than severing a group or a master. The crystals are from the old cartoon Clone Wars where Anakin was on a mission to free the Novan warriors. I don't know what they're called, after he saves releasing them. Watch it should on YouTube. It was from 2003, but this time the color of the 2 crystals are black and white. The last gift was from Lord Sidious. He said it belonged to his apprentice's student named General Grievous. His gift was a starfighter that was bulkier and hardier than the droid starfighters employed by the Confederacy of Independent Systems, with 2 rapid-fire triple laser cannons, capable of inflicting damage equal to that dealt by a V-wing starfighter, and 2 powerful main ion drives. The Belbelab was designed for a single pilot. The 3 goddesses told Revan that now he was a Jedi Master Sith Lord, it gives him the privilege to take multiple wives, and it considers him an adult that is old enough to take on anything that gets in his way. When Revan heard about having multiple wives, he had pass out from a massive nosebleed that made the goddesses giggle, because soon when he becomes a father to a lot of children, he would just be begging for someone to save him. The other part of his life was that his so-called master, that he remembered what happened but was still worth it. Flashback. Whenever his lord flies off to something important like a meeting or such, Naruto would go into throne room and find some information about him on why he only knows the dark side and why would he go so far for him. He found a hidden button behind his rotating chair. He pressed it only to hear hidden door unlocking at the bottom of his feet. Revan investigated the hidden room, finding a lot what seems to be cube-like crystals, which his master calls them holocrons. He told him that holocrons are used to hold information on force techniques and instruction manuals by force users. Not only did he found more GD techniques, but also found holographic journal that is titled Empire Plans. Revan looked at the journal and he knew that this was the type of information he was looking for. The moment he unlocked to it and saw the words on it, he was shocked and horrified. His master has done terrible actions, that he was only power-hungry, pure darkness, and cold-blooded. He enslaved most of the galaxy, controlled countless worlds, betrayed most of his allies, and terrorized civilization. But the thing got him the most was his plan for Order 66. It said that he tricked a Jedi called Anakin Skywalker on killing all the Jedi by hunting them down and anything that relates to them. His apprentice also killed his friends, but the one that filled Naruto with so much hatred emotion was he found a holographic recorder of Anakin killing innocent youngling children. Revan fell on his knees, closing his ears with his hands, trying his best to ignore the screams, but he know that Sidious is behind all the suffering of others, and the reason his clone army followed his rules is because the Emperor has treated them. If they didn't obey his rules, he would launch an assault on Kamino and destroy everyone and every last detail that created them. The clones never wanted this, nor did the Kamino workers didn't want to eliminate their Jedi friends, so they had no choice but to side with the Empire. Naruto waited for his master to return and thought of a plan to get rid of him once and for all. Death Star midnight. Revan got out of bed and snuck, hiding his presence well into Sidious' bedroom, and stabbed his lightsaber through Sidious' head. He had the idea from Sidious when killed his own master in his sleep, for he wanted to be the only one to be the all-powerful Sith Lord, but for Revan it hard for him to do it. Sidious was the one that gave him a better life and treated him like a grandson that he never had. However, Revan knew that it had to be done. After Lord Sidious' death, Naruto called everyone in the Death Star that he is giving an important announcement to make. After everyone showed up at the landing platform where every soldier, guard, and staff stood in a straight line. When everyone was accounted for, Revan appeared with Kami, Shinigami, and Yami behind him, where he stood on top presenting himself to everyone with stool microphone in front of him. "Attention everyone, I Darth Revan have something I have to tell you," Naruto said, getting everyone to look at him. "As in today, Lord Sidious is dead by my hands." Everyone gasped at the news and continued to listen to his speech. "As today you will follow my orders, but I want to let you know this, I will not make the same mistakes my master did. I plan on protect the innocents, help the weak, and bringing order to the whole galaxy, but if don't trust me enough." Revan lowered his head, raising his hand and pointing at the ships as he said, "You are free to leave, I won't blame you." The clone army was surprised what their proclaimed emperor had spoken. They given a choice, either they can stay here in the Death Star with their new emperor or they can leave. All the clones talked to one another discussing on what to do. After they were done talking, one of troopers walked up forward and lifted his hand at his forehead, thus saluting him. "We are at your command, your majesty. We never respected him. It was hard for us to betray our friends, but it was difficult for us to pull the trigger on them. But if you said is true, then we'd be glad to pledge our allegiance to you," the trooper said as the rest of the soldiers saluted to their new emperor, showing Naruto they pledged their loyalty to him. Naruto has been grateful for his army alliance, making Naruto saying with confidence, "I thank you for staying, and yes, I promise all the things I have said, because that is a promise that I will never break." There was complete silence. All the stormtroopers stared, saying Revan over and over again, raising fists up into the air. As of this moment, Revan knew that this was the beginning of a new order for his brothers in arms. Flashback end. After news around the galaxy were told, everyone would fear the new ruler of the empire, but were soon relived for that the new emperor wasn't causing more problems, but fixing them instead, free slaves, stopping criminal acts and shutting down terrorized organization. Revan even made an alliance to the Republic by apologizing for his master's selfish deeds to Princess Leia Organa and her husband Han Solo, who are the leaders of the Republic. They accepted Revan's apology with a truce of peace that he promised to bring justice to all. Later in the years, Revan's army was small and thought that this was a problem that he cannot solve. One of Revan's generals told him of a place where they were created a long time ago, called Kamino, is also known as the Planet of Storms, was the watery world where the clone army for the Galactic Republic was created, as well as the Kamino home fleet. Revan was walking to his Solus One ship. He kept on walking when felt someone's presence. Stopping for a moment, he heard a grunt-like noise as Revan quickly turned around and looked up to see a short brown clean hair male with a beard and mustache, colossal GD outfit, and reddish-brown combat boots jump down from a short structure of a pillar. Revan activated his two black and white lightsabers and blocked the enemy's blue saber with both of his swords. The beard GD swung his lightsaber from left to right, but Revan countered the enemy using his own fingers, force pushing the intruder a few feet away from him. As the GD was knocked back on the ground, Darth Revan dashed at the defeated GD and stabbed him in the gut. All of a sudden the GD flashed, and it turned out to be Revan's holodroid companion and bodyguard Proxy that could change their appearance and copy abilities at will. In this story, Darth Vader doesn't make Galen Marek his apprentice, so that means Galen never meet Proxy. "Ah, master, another excellent duel," said the kindly murderous droid. "I have to admit, Proxy, you did catch me by surprise. I haven't fought that training program in a couple of months. I thought you'd gotten rid of it," Revan said, smiling at his best friend, putting away his lightsabers away, clipping on his belt. "Well, I hope that using an older training program module would catch you off guard and allow me to finally defeat you. I'm sorry I failed you again," Proxy said, looking at the ground with shame. "Don't worry, Proxy, you're getting the hang of it. Just keep trying and never give up, but listen, do me a favor. Don't ambush me anytime because I might end cutting you in pieces," said Revan, walking to the landing platforms where his starfighter is. "Also, you should stop trying to attack me, because if the three goddesses found out you tried to attack me, they'll turn your ass into scrap metal again, and it's hard for me to fix you up. I mean, first I found your body in the abandoned GD temple and saw it in good condition. I just knew that it will come in handy, but after I fixed you up you almost went haywire and tried to attack me." "As you wish, Master," Proxy said, bowing down at Revan. "And again, you don't have to bow down or call me Master Proxy. You're my best friend and I made a promise to you that you will be part of the GD Council when I asked the construction droids to rebuild the GD temple." Proxy's was designed to be a training droid for GD, but somewhere inside Proxy's system he wanted to be more than that. He always wondered if he'd be the first droid to ever become a GD master and be part of his master's council. Thanks to his copy abilities were like almost the same thing as Revan's Sharingan. Revan has been impressed with Proxy's potential that he made a promise to him that when the Whirlpool country. Revan knew about his former mother birthplace. He didn't want anything to do with it, however he knew he was part Uzumaki in the past, saying when he grew up to be strong and take the place of Hokage from his father, he would have it rebuilt back to its former glory. But now, since he is the new emperor of the entire galaxy, and now that his sister was going to be the new heir to the Uzumaki clan, he could at least do is restore it, but he won't just build back together, he will make it more grand than ever before. He also know that it wasn't her fault, nor was his sister, for she was young and didn't understand like he was, and his mother was under a loyalty seal behind her neck when first saw it when he was younger, but he will soon return home and try to get rid of the seal from her neck and protect his sister with his life, but they have to earn his respect and say they will never leave him and promise to love him. "Thank you, Lord Revan, that means a lot to me. I will make you proud." "You're welcome, Proxy, I know you will. I also need your help with something that I have planned." "Anything, my lord?" "There's a certain group of Jinchuriki that I know they feel the same way as I do, and I fear that others will want to hurt them or only use them for a weapon, or all they want is their power that I heard the Akatsuki want. I want you to take some of our spy droids, locate them and give each of them a communicator that will give a recorded message of me giving the location of where to meet me. While you do that, I'm taking my starfighter to Kamino build an army." If I want to take the fight to the people of Earth, I need all the help I can get. As you wish, Lord Revan, Proxy said, walking away to precede the orders he was given. Revan traveled to that planet on his Solus 1 ship and activated his jump to light speed so that he can get there a lot faster. Revan arrived in Kamino, where it seemed to rain a lot everywhere that almost looked like the clone factory was being flooded with water. Revan landed his starfighter on the landing platform, seeing a long-necked creature called Kaminans who keep to themselves and are known for their cloning technology. Revan walked towards the entrance with a cloak covering his entire body to protect him from the harsh cold rain. Went inside the facility, where the Kaminans greeted him with his presence, bowing their heads to him, showing respect to the new leader of the empire. Master GD, we welcome you, Darth Revan, as the Prime Minister has expected your arrival, the Kaminan said with calm female voice. Revan raised an eyebrow with confusion. I'm expected. Of course, Lord Sidious did say that his new apprentice would arrive one of these years, but enough about that. The Prime Minister is anxious to meet you. After all these years we were beginning to worry you weren't coming. Now if you please, this way. The Kaminan said to Revan as he walked beside her, following to where she was taking him. Revan saw a dead end at the end of halls, except when they got close to it opened like a automated slit door from the top and sideways. After the doors opened, Revan saw another Kaminan, but with a different attire of clothing, standing up and walked towards him as they came to a stop. May I present Lama Su, the Prime Minister of Kamino, the female Kaminan said as Revan bowed his head to the Kaminan. And this is Master. The female Kaminan paused, not knowing the Emperor's name. Revan, Darth Revan, and you can relax, I am nothing like my master, Revan said, making the Prime Minister know he wasn't a threat to them. The Lama Su nodded and said, I trust that you came to discuss about the clone army you were hearing so much about. Yes, I have. The chair lowered from the ceiling next to Revan. Lama Su asks him to take seat so that they can discuss the business. All I want to say is that we thank you for what you done for us by freeing us from Darth Sidious' grasp. Revan rubbed the back of his head while smiling with embarrassment. You're welcome, I just did what was doing the right thing. So what have you planned for my army? Revan said, wanting to know clones' capabilities on fighting. Ah yes, you will be happy to know that 200,000 units are ready with 1 million more on the way, and I must say to you that they are one of the finest we've ever created. Revan eyes wielded, shocked how big his army he will command in battle, and responded, well, thank you Lama Su, I can't wait to see them in action. We are delighted to hear you say that, however that there are the missing touches to the clone army, and we need your permission for it. Lama Su got out from his chair, pulling out 2 small holographic figures from his pocket, showing them in front of Revan. There are 2 army designs that we want you to choose. Would you take the ones from the old Clone Wars, or you want to keep the previous one that Lord Sidious had? Revan looked at the choices that Lama Su showed him and tried to make a decision. He didn't want to use the ones his old master used in the past. Revan turned his direction to the other holographic figure of clone army, with forged Phase 1 battle armor. There were aspects of the armor included the helmet's breath filter, a utility belt, and the boot's high traction soles. The Phase 1 battle armor used color to distinguish clone officers from each other and the rest of the rank and file stock. For instance, commanders were marked by yellow stripes, captains, lieutenants and sergeants were identified by red, blue and olive green respectively. Revan knew that they are the best of the best, and he thought that this is the army he was looking for. I'll take the ones from the Clone Wars, Revan said to Lama Su. Then it shall be, would like to see them now, Lama Su pointing at the direction where Revan's army. Of course, but before we do that I want to add something a little bit powerful to my army, Revan asked Lama Su. And what would that be? I'm rebuilding the GD temple on Coruscant and I'm building a new one on my homeworld on Whirlpool Country, and I want to make sure it is secure. Do you think you have anything that will make some of my clones into GD temple guards that can protect the temple? Yes, we have a blood sample of a GD called Sifo Diaz, who served the GD order. He came here and asked us to build him. An army donated some of his blood, asking us if anything were to happen to him, he would ask us to make clones of himself so that his clones could fight alongside with the others. Is there anything I need to fear from them? No, we modified their brains to follow orders 100%, they are totally obedient, taking any order without question. I thank you, may see the clone army now. Of course, this way. Play the clone army on Attack of the Clone Wars. Revan walked forward to see a hanging platform with sidebars. When he got near the hanging platform he put his hands on the metal bars to see the clone. He was overwhelmed how many clones there were, and assumed there had be thousands than the ones in Konoha he saw when he was a kid. On the other side were the GD temple guards that Lama Su promised him and seen their newly equipped gear. They wore formal brown robes and identity-concealing masks, which displayed their sense of emotional detachment that was required in service to a higher calling. They carried large lightsaber pikes, double-bladed lightsabers that produced a yellow blade, which was considered rare among GD of the time. Magnificent, aren't they? Lama Su asked Revan, wondering what he thinks of his newly improved army that he created for his new emperor, which he severs and respects him. Magnificent, are kidding, this is unbelievable. I'm glad to hear you say that. Revan was about to respond by thanking Lama Su until his communicator went off. He reached into his pocket and pulled it out, wondering who might be calling him. He activated it, only to see it was Proxy. Lord Revan, have you assembled the army? Because someone on Earth needs our help. I think it's called Wave Country. It's run by Gato, and according to his file, he was a powerful shipping magnate whose shipping company was actually a front for much shadier activities, such as smuggling illegal goods and dealing drugs. He took control of the land of Wave's shipping routes and created a monopoly by isolating the country from the outside world, preventing free import and export, and turning it into an impoverished, hunger-stricken country in the process. He was a cruel man, responsible for humiliating and killing Kaiser in public for standing up to him. Kaiser's death immensely demoralized the people of Wave, to the point that they no longer had the courage to stand up to Gato. Revan clutched hand to a fist, shaking with rage, but no, all he wanted to do was to take some of his rage and take down that worthless good-for-nothing roach and take back what were rightfully the villages. Yes, Proxy, I have formed up an army and I will help the villagers get their land back, but remember, you still have to find the ancient Shuriki. When you find them, report back to me, understood? Yes, Lord Revan, can do. Revan ended the holographic message and made a call to the Death Star, contacting one of his generals to bring Star Destroyers to pick up the new clone army to travel to Earth to help Wave Country, and the rest guard the rest of the other planets. Each Star Destroyer carries 10,000 or more people on it. As the Star Destroyer arrived, the clone army loaded themselves onto the ship, then lifted away up into space. Revan got on his Solus One and followed suit, with him and his clone army behind his back as they prepared to jump to light speed to Earth. Look out, Earth, because Darth Revan about to show what is made of, Revan said with confidence, putting on his mask, then speed off along with his army behind him in a flash. End chapter. So this part ends here. If you want to see next part of this series, like the video now and share the story with your friends. Bye bye.